Okay, we're live. Today we welcome President Shelia Gestring of USD on to talk with us. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So the whole topic of this interview series is to raise awareness for arthritis during Arthritis Awareness Month. What made you want to come and be a part of this?
I think your persistence was very influential, but also it's just an interesting topic and something that even I don't know a lot about.
Okay, well, I am glad you decided to come on. So I have asked everyone this, but have you ever been exposed to arthritis? Maybe family members, through friends or work?
I really have not.
Okay, that's actually the first person to say they haven't.
Yeah.
So what do you all know about arthritis? Do you know anything that much?
Well, I know that it's very painful for people. It affects more than the hands. It affects the joints in general, not just your hands. And I think that's kind of a common myth. It's a fairly complex disease, and it's not curable, but with early diagnosis and treatment can be manageable.
Yes.
That movement is always very good, making time for physical activity and maintaining healthy weight. Those two are essential. Anti-inflammatory diets, things of that nature can help make the disease manageable. Weather can affect it. Injuries can perhaps make you at a higher risk. And it's not just adults that get arthritis, but juveniles as well.
Yeah, well, you seem to know a lot more than you let on at first, but okay. So have you ever had any students that you know of at USD with juvenile arthritis or arthritis?
None that have brought it to my attention.
Okay, so what does USD have an effect for people suffering from physical disability?
So we have an entire office devoted to accommodations for those with disabilities. And it covers the full range, but certainly someone with arthritis could go and seek out resources from that office.
Okay, USD is one of the top medical schools in our state. Does USD have a class for those looking into the rheumatology field?
They do have coursework. I don't know that there's one specific course identified for that topic only, but definitely rheumatology is covered. And there are several that's in the state that are serving as rheumatologists in the healthcare system.
Okay. What can a person looking into rheumatology expect from USD?
I think you can expect that same great medical school training that everyone's going to get, that foundation, and then finding that placement after medical school, the residency will be the key to specializing.
Yeah. So arthritis actually affects over 54 million Americans, and we're going to play this game that has a bunch of arthritis statistics and stuff. So I'm going to try and share my screen quick so you can see it.
Okay.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so there's 15 questions. Our last guest, our last guest got pretty good at it, and she said she didn't know much about it. So best of luck to you, but we'll get started. So approximately how many people worldwide have arthritis, do you think?
What was that number you read me earlier? 54 million in the United States?
Yep.
I'm going to go with 350 million.
Okay. What is a possible symptom of arthritis?
All of the above.
True or false, cracking your knuckles increases your chances of getting arthritis?
This feels like a trick question. As long as you don't injure your knuckles while you're cracking them, I would say that this would be false.
What doctor treats patients with arthritis?
A rheumatologist.
Yep. True or false, patients vary in their response to arthritis medication?
True.
How many adult Americans have arthritis in the United States?
So was your number adults only, or was that children before too?
That was adults only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what you gave me.
So about how many kids in the US have juvenile arthritis?
I'm going to go with 300,000.
Statistically, how many Americans have arthritis?
That'd be 1 in 20.
Okay. Juvenile arthritis is more common than.
Wow. Let's go with juvenile diabetes. Actually change that one to cystic fibrosis. Well, no, because cystic fibrosis is, never mind.
What type of disease is arthritis?
I feel like it's an autoimmune.
Okay. How many different variants of arthritis are there?
Let's go with 25.
What is the most common type of arthritis?
Osteoarthritis.
Statistically, how much does the arthritis cost the U.S. economy every year?
$100 billion.
True or false, arthritis has a cure?
False.
True or false, arthritis is more common in women?
False.
Okay, we'll see what you got. 10 out of 15.
Is that okay?
That's okay. A lot of them have done about the same. So
Okay.
approximately worldwide, 350 million not Americans, but people have arthritis. You're right. All of these are symptoms of arthritis. I experienced all of these when I was diagnosed first. And so, yeah. Cracking your knuckles does not increase your chances of arthritis. You're right. Rheumatologist is the doctor that treats arthritis. Patients vary in their response to arthritis medication. That's why when we treat patients with arthritis, there's a lot of trial and error going into this. 54 million Americans have arthritis, adults. About 300,000 kids in the United States have arthritis. And actually, 1 in 4 Americans will have arthritis. And juvenile arthritis is surprisingly more common than juvenile diabetes and cystic fibrosis combined together.
That was what I was going to go with, my gut, and I didn't. But.
And yes, arthritis is an autoimmune disease, meaning that it cannot be seen on the outside by the naked eye.
Yep.
And there are actually over 100 different types of arthritis.
Wow.
Yeah. Osteoarthritis is the most common type of arthritis, and we like to point out that rheumatoid arthritis is the second most common. That's the one you'll probably hear most of the commercials about on TV.
Right.
And statistically, it costs us $86 billion, so not quite 100 billion, but it's up there still.
I was rounding up, right? You get that big number in.
Arthritis does not have a cure, and arthritis is actually more common in women than it is men.
Wow.
Which, yeah, that is surprising. So now we just want to talk about your career as USD president, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, not at all.
Okay. So how did you become the president of USD?
It was a long and interesting path. I actually went to school to be a CPA and had planned to practice in a CPA firm. One day on the way to the library to go study, I ended up in a car accident, and I could not be selective as to who I was going to work for. So I took the first job that I was offered in state government. And I worked in a variety of finance offices in government, and one of them was the Board of Regents. So really got interested in higher education. Went out to Kalispell, Montana for a brief 4 years, and I was their chief financial officer there. And then someone at the University of South Dakota who had worked for me before when I was with the Board of Regents office called and mentioned that they had this finance position they thought I was ideal for. So I went to USD, came back to South Dakota. And then my boss at that time went on and took a different position. President Abbott promoted me into that position. And I worked very, very closely with President Abbott for many years. And in a lot of ways, I felt like he was mentoring me. because he would let me work on projects that your typical chief financial officer doesn't. For example, I spent a lot of time with athletics, a lot of time with our foundation, things you just don't typically equate with the CFO role. And so he mentored me and had a few others encourage me to apply, and here I am.
So would you say that Abbott was the one you looked up to most when you were getting into this spot?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. So what are some accomplishments you're most proud of being the president of USD?
So right now, I mean, I haven't been president for very long, but I'm very proud of our students and what they're able to accomplish, right? So the law school students go out and they win competitions, and the theater department will win competitions. We have students that participate scholastically as well as athletically, our athletic programs. And I'm not talking about winning on the court or the field. I'm talking about the awards that they get in the classroom. And the health sciences building, getting the support of the governor and the legislature and a donor to help us get that accomplished. That, I think, is one of the most important buildings in the state of South Dakota, and it's become even more clear during this healthcare crisis. So those are some of my most proud accomplishments. I would also say a lot of the efficiencies that we've put in place on campus that have actually added value as well.
So how has being president changed you?
I would say I am in front of the camera a lot more. So that's different. In terms of how it's changed me, I think I've always been pretty good about listening to the team, listening to stakeholders, but this role has crystallized for me why that's so important. So I make an effort to do even more listening.
Yeah. So with this COVID crisis and pandemic, what has USD done to adapt to the changing atmosphere?
Sure. Well, you probably have heard most. First, we extended spring break, which gave our faculty an extra week to pivot and move to remote instruction, which I have to just praise them for the tremendous work that they put in. That's not an easy task, and they did it with supporting the students front of mind, and that's what they do every day, and I was just incredibly impressed. Then we moved to full remote online, as you know, and tried to get as many employees productive remotely as possible. Fortunately, we have some pretty incredible technology, so we've been able to maintain many projects and moving forward in a lot of ways. But then after that, we decided that it sounded like the peak was going to be mid-June. That was all the forecasts for South Dakota. So we then continued with only remote instruction for the summer. Decided to cancel camps and conferences on campus through July 31st. And then most recently, we decided to go face-to-face in the fall. Obviously, that's very fluid. Things could change if circumstances change dramatically in the next weeks or so. But all during that time, during all that was going on externally, we've had a task force on campus that meets a couple hours every single day to go over what new issues and planning ahead. Our focus now is what we need to do between now and the start of fall classes. And we're doing things like installing hand sanitizer stations throughout campus. We already had hundreds of them, but now we're adding another 216 specifically, so that there's one outside of every classroom. We are providing each classroom and office with disinfectant spray and paper towels. That's kind of an interim measure until we can get our hands on the Clorox wipes, but they keep canceling those orders. So the disinfectant spray is probably actually better than Clorox anyway in terms of effectiveness. So everyone will have access to that should they want to wipe off their workstation or wherever they're going to sit. We've purchased 8 electrostatic machines. A lot of people refer to those as foggers, like you hear about the airlines fogging between every flight. Those machines, they're just a higher level of cleanliness. We're going to be hiring kind of an army of students, part-time workers, to periodically wipe down railings and doorknobs and common spaces. A lot of students would like a job anyway, and we feel like that's a way that could really help campus as well. We are looking at social distancing in the classrooms. We think we can accommodate that. We've got some performance halls where we can have our larger courses, things like that. We know that social distancing won't be possible in every situation, particularly in entrances and doorways. So we're asking everyone, not forcing, but asking everyone to please wear a mask. It's not to protect you, it's to protect others, right? We are also going to provide 1 mask for every student, faculty, and staff member so that they have at least 1. They're going to want more than 1, but we're hoping that that will encourage them as well. We've identified, if we would happen to have someone that becomes infected, we have identified several dorm rooms on campus that could be used as quarantine rooms. And if someone happened to be quarantined or test positive and not, obviously they could choose to go home if they wanted, but we would have that available to them. We would bring them meals. We would have a nurse check on them every day, student life staff checking on them every day. What else? We've put up some plexiglass, so some guards to prevent sort of that spread, particularly in common spaces like the library. In the wellness center, for example, we're taping off every other treadmill so that there is 6 feet of distance between people. Just spending a lot of time planning out scenarios and figuring out exactly how we're going to bring everyone back safely, because health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff, that's always our top priority.
Yeah. So you talked about all these measures, which do you believe that students will be able to return to dorm rooms and stuff like in the fall?
I do. There's a lot of CDC guidance out there about how that can be done. Effectively with communal living, your roommate becomes your second family member, right? Mm-hmm. So you can be together in that dorm room, but then once you leave that room, please wear your mask, right? I mean, this is going to be the hardest part, is educating individuals as to why it's so important to wear that mask. I feel like it's a personal responsibility of mine to do that. So I'm hoping that others will do so as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone's brought this up before, but the vulnerable population, such as people with arthritis, are you going to implement a way in which maybe they don't have to go to class and continue online classes in their dorm room or something?
So that's one area where USD is really, really fortunate that we made the investments we did about 10 years ago. We have a large number of full programs available online already. The other thing that's great about USD is we don't use an army of graduate assistants to teach our courses. We use faculty, and faculty are fabulous. If there's a student that needs an accommodation like that, I know of faculty that have recorded lectures before that were face-to-face classes long before COVID-19 hit, and would send that video file to a student because they couldn't come to class for a week because of an injury or an illness, like maybe just influenza, right? So the best thing, any student that would want an accommodation like that, if they didn't want to go to the full online option, is talk to the faculty member. They're wonderful about working with students. They really, truly are.
Okay, so now I want to give you your time to encourage students like in my area to come to USD. Why should we come to USD?
I can say that in one sentence. The University of South Dakota graduates leaders of communities. If it is your goal to be a leader of a community, be it a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, a business person, an artist, an entrepreneur, USD has a track record of graduating those community leaders.
Okay. And one last question. What should students in high school do if they want to make the easiest transition into secondary education?
Prepare yourself to challenge yourself. Get outside your comfort zone when you get to higher education. That's the best advice I can give anyone. Whenever you're outside your comfort zone, you grow. And this is an opportunity for growing, for transitioning between completely independent or between completely dependent living to independent living. And it is a life-changing experience. So prepare to go outside your comfort zone.
Okay. Thank you for coming on the show again. I very much appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So continue what you're doing and we'll thank you again.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.